Yeah, yesterday it's been like we thought of covering the session, delivering the session, but in between this power out, net outages happened, and we don't have sufficient backup because last 48 hours there was no power and the batteries got drained. So we'll wait a minute, and I can see still people are joining. So once it is done, so yeah. So good day, Tan. It's been yes. Attendance forms will be pasted. Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So once again, welcome to AZ 801 training program. So last day we had a nice discussion is around 801 certifications. We had a discussion about the course or the agenda which we are planning to cover inside the AZ 801 program. And we started with a resource called Microsoft ISAS VM. It's been like we had a discussion about the point we need to consider, like when you're going for any kind of a ISAS solution. So this is the point we have been discussing in the last session. Now, today we are trying to discuss about a topic. It's about how to provide a security solution for in the ISAS VM. Like the moment when you've been connecting to hybrid scenarios, how the security or the how the governance can be enabled. Because when you've been connected into a Microsoft Azure, based on the subscription or based on the account you are using, based on that you are getting an access on the Microsoft Azure resources. So let's discuss about a topic called how security can be provided or the security can be enabled in a Azure VM. So attendance link, so we'll be posting. So Surag, if you can help me us for that. So yeah, so team, we will be posting the attendance link on the right side Teams chat window. So you can use that for posting your attendance. Now, last day session it was around Microsoft Azure VM. So you maybe discuss or maybe understood the concept about how ISAS VM is been created, and we have seen like what are the points need to be taken care like when you are going for creating a VM. So this is the point so far it's been covered. So far, any question from your side? So you have any questions on the point on the Microsoft Azure Compute? So we can have a discussion on that first. Then I will be moving about the security aspects. Any question from anyone? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat window? Because what our topics we've been covered in the last week, last date. So you can just, yeah. So as we saying next, it's been good. Thank you. Okay. Now let's go back to this VM creation. So like a hybrid scenario. So we are just trying to discuss about a topic called hybrid scenarios. Now let me take you into the screen whiteboard. Let me take you into the whiteboard. So right now we have we have configured a VM on a Microsoft portal. So we have a VM is been available here. Now we are discussing about how security can be enabled onto this VM. So this is the point right away we are discussing. So right now we understood. So the moment when you create a VM on in a Microsoft Azure portal, by default, there will be a public IP address will be created automatically, and there will be a private IP address also it's been created automatically. So this is based on the design. It's been like by default, Microsoft has been assigning it's assigning a public IP address. By default, whenever you're creating a VM, two IP address by default it's been assigned. Now the point you need to remember here, like when you're going for creating a public IP address, a couple of points you need to ensure on in a VM side. One, it's been like Microsoft Azure VM is been a pay as you kind of model, like there's a cost is been involved. It's not a free product. Now, if you go to Microsoft Azure portal, um, if you go to the pricing options, like if you go to Azure price on the public IP address, you may be able to see this pricing for this public IP address. I just pasted the link on the chat window. Now, if you can able to, if you're clicking on this link, you will be able to identify like whatever public IP address has been assigned. There's a charge has been associated. Now, right away we undershoot. So when we are creating a VM, by default, this a public IP address is being created automatically. Now, when it is coming on in a real production infrastructure kind of a scenario, I'm just giving a situation like you are in a customer place or your organization is having 1,000 VM is been configured. Now, think from an angle, all the VM are associated with a public IP address. All the VMs are being associated with a public IP address. Can you comment on the chat window? What are the challenges or what are the concerns you're going to face in that situation? I'm just giving a scenario in front of you. You have 1,000 VMs been configured, and if all the VMs are hosted with a public IP address, what are the issues you're going to face it? Can you comment it on the chat window? Security is a concern. Okay, thank you, Razi. So because you are exposing your entire internet or entire VM into the internet. Yes, Raziv, I'm agreeing with your point. It's been uh, there is a some kind of a security compromise you are doing from on the VM aspects. Yes, you're right. Because when you want to connect this VM from an outside a network, now generally you will be connecting with the help of a RDP, or in a few books is mentioned as a RDC, right? Like with the help of a RDC or RDP, you are connecting to your VM. Now, how generally this be connecting? Uh, Basically, already all of us know it's been like you are using a public IP address for connecting this one, because the IP address which we can use in internet is called public IP address, because the IP address which you can use internally, basically that is known as a private IP address, because all the IP address we will not be in a position to use outside, because all that IP address is been not routable in internet. So only the public IP address only you're allowed to use it in internet. A private IP address, all of us already know. So like any IP address starting with the 10 dot series. Second one, it's been like any IP address starting with the 172.x series or 192 series, or loopback IP address 127 series, or APIP address 169.254. Series. This kind of IP address we won't be able to use in internet. This basically these IP address are known as private IP address. Now, right now we are discussing about a security for VM, how to provide a security to a VM. What are the options has been available in front of us. Now, in the last day session, we have seen it's like once the VM is been implemented, in case if you want to connect to this VM, the only option is been like we need to use a RDP. Now, in case if you're trying to connect it RDP using a public IP address, it will ask for the username and password. There's one option. So by default, if the rule is been enabled in NSG, now you may be getting another terminology called NSG. So we'll have a detailed discussion on that. What is a NSG? Yes, Sachin has been pasted a couple of points here, like if it is 1,000 VM, what are the challenges or concerns we have? I agree with you, Sachin. Like it's been security is one of the area. Second one, it's been managing this IP address is going to be another hectic or administrative task. And third one, it's been like how the access or role-based access control is the another terminology. Now, the cost and security, and this is a major concern. So in a normally in a production scenarios, we won't be using a public IP address to all the VMs here. Technically, we'll ensure that this public IP address will be disassociated at the time of a creation, or we are not assigned a public IP address at the time of the creation. This already we have covered under the AZ900 or a 104 session. So do I need to show you where it's been this option is been disabled? If you want me to show that option, you can comment it on the chat window. Or if you're confident, we can good to go on the next part. Do I need to show where this public IP address is being removed? Okay, so as if you're saying like yes, please show. Okay, waiting for the majority of. Can you explain the cost term of the geolocation zone or data center redundancy? Yes, so Neil also has been agreeing with the geolocation. Okay, okay. Maria also is saying yes. Now, okay, let's go back to the VM then. Last sessions, all of us seen like there is a VM is being created here, right? Oh, so let me, I think by mistake I will close the window. Just give me a second. Let me connect to the portal. Give me a second, okay? Let me connect to the portal.azure.com. Give me 1 minute because it's asking the username and password and OTP details. I have a login done by look like by mistake. I mean close that one. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Right now we are inside a Microsoft Azure portal. Right now you may be able to see my screen on the window. You are seeing a Microsoft Azure portal window. So right away we have been created virtual machines. Now, right now we are talking about how to provide a security to a VM. Uh, on the screen, we are able to see a virtual machine option right away here. So like if you're seeing a virtual machine, you may be seeing like basic information on the screen itself saying that, hey, Robin, you have been created a IAS and a server one. These are the two VMs right away it's been created on that. There's a first information we are getting. And if you're moving on the right side, a couple of additional information which you are able to see on the screen, like you are getting a message saying that resource group where this has been created, and you may be able to see the options like what is the size is being created for this, like what is the option, like what is the public IP address is been assigned. Right now you may be able to see here the VM it's been associated or it's been created with a public IP address. So right now trying to say that public IP address is one of the component you need to consider, like in case if you are providing any kind of ISAS security on from your side. The reason it's been like as such in or the members has been mentioned on the chat window. In case if you're assigning a public IP address to many VMs on the network, you will have a kind of a security compromise you need to do from your side. Now, if you go back to this virtual machines here, uh, right now we understood by default or by default this public IP address is been created from your VM. Now, if you go back to this VM here, you may be seeing like this option where this public IP address has been created. Now, at the time of a creation of a VM, you may be noticed there is a 5 option is been coming on the top of your window, right? You have basic, disk, networking, you have a management and monitoring and advanced tab. This kind of option has been it's been coming. Yeah. Now, Sandesh is asking a question like, how can I assign my on public IP address from my yes, I'm coming to that point. So let's create the how it's been created. Now, one option is been like at the time of a creating a virtual machine. In the third option, like at the time of a creation, you will be seeing like a basic disk networking management and monitoring here, right? So there you can able to see an option called public IP address, right? So this is the place, Sandesh, you can assign your own address. So you can able to able to select this one. Right now I'm getting a reason because I haven't selected any details about a subscription, saying that here Robin, go and select your subscription first, then you can go and create a public IP address. See here. So this is the place you can able to create your public IP address. But the couple of points you need to remember, like in case if you are going for creating a public IP address, the point you need to remember, it's like if you already have uh, a public IP address has been available from your existing organization, you don't have any option to bring your own public IP address. For example, like you already having a data center and there you are using a couple of a public IP address, you don't have any option to bring your own public IP address from the on-premises network, because each region there is a IP address is assigned from a pool. So because each region will have a different range or a unique pool Microsoft is using in each region. So you cannot move public IP address from one data center to another data center, or in a Azure terminology, public IP address cannot be moved between a region. All IP addresses it's been, or the IP addresses are configured in Azure, it's in a region specific. So right now we are discussing about a point how the public IP address is been assigned. So one, it's been like at the time of a creation of a VM itself, it's been created. Now from a AZ801 security perspective, in case if you want to remove the public IP address, the one option is been like at the time of a creation itself, you need to mark the public IP address as a none here. Now basically by default, this will be created with a default one. In case you want to provide a security to a VM, ensure that you are not doing any kind of a compromise on this network side, then you need to ensure that the public IP address which you are assigning, it's been configured with as a none option. So right now I'm just selecting it's a none. That means there will not be any public IP address will be assigned here. Because in case if I'm selecting a new, or it's been like the existing one, you may be able to see your VM will be created like this. Your VM will be created like with a public IP address. So by default, there will be a public IP address will be created. Now, in case if you want to remove this one, now before moving on the remove, Sandesh, you can able to use one more option here. Like in case if you already have you want to create your own public IP address. Public IP address is a resource. So you can go to the search bar, and there you can able to select an option called public IP address. So the moment when you create a option create, where we'll be getting an option for selecting a IP version 4 or a 6. There's a two option you'll be able to select it, and what is the type of the mode or SKU you need. SKU means stop keeper unit. In case if you want to create a public IP in different mode, you have a standard and basic option we have. So with the help of that, you will be able to define what is the type of the public IP address you want. By default, the IP address which you are assigning to a VM, by default, it will be in a dynamic mode. Dynamic mode means whenever you're doing any kind of a forceful reboot or a start or any admin related activities, if you're initiating from a public cloud or in a Azure portal, this IP address will be changed. So there's an option you can able to follow. So in case if you want to do any kind of a public IP address, this is the option you can able to use it. So the place where you can able to create a public IP address. Can we create a redundancy between a public IP address to assure to a local data to avoid a single point of redundancy between public? Um, Not in the IP address level generally, Rasif. Like generally, this has been configured single point of failure, or it's been like any availability mechanism. If you want to configure for your VM, generally we'll be using a concept called availability set and availability zone. This is the option generally we are using. So in case one data center is down due to some network failure or a power failure, your VM can be able to power on, will be able to work it from the second data centers or in the different region also. So there is a concept called availability set and availability zone. Rasif, if you can just remember, like when you try to create a VM, you maybe noticed a point called virtual machine creation, right? The moment when you create Azure virtual machine, bottom, if you're coming here, you have an option called availability set. So you may be able to see here this option you maybe notice at the time of VM creation. As if it's been clear, or you may have to go for a load balancer kind of thing. Like in case if you have multiple public IP address and that needs to be balanced, one option you need to go for Azure firewall or a load balancer kind of option also. Yeah, Saman, that's been a good question. Whether you create or Microsoft create, if you are using a public IP address, there is a cost is involved. Cost is been involved if you are using a public IP address, and there will not be any cost for your uh, private IP address. Okay. Now that's about the public IP address. So we've been okay. I have accidentally submitted to attend. That's okay, Dan. No problem. We'll take care of that. Not an issue. When we are doing a filtering, we'll do that. It's not an issue. Yes, MSP, Microsoft is got it's been a set of public IP address is a pool of IP address Microsoft is received from INA, and that IP address has been distributing that. It's similar like how generally your internet service provider is been providing the same mode of way. That the reason like like the moment when you create a virtual machine here, so the virtual machine got a public IP address. Okay. Uh, Is there any emulator or application where we can test and try Microsoft? Yes, Mark, you can create a Microsoft Azure free account. Mark, you can able to use that. With the help of that 30 days, you can able to simulate or you can able to do all the labs. Now, Mark, you can refer this link. Let me paste it on the chat window. So this is the free account link you can refer. So So Mark, you can refer this one. So this will help you to create a account. So where you can able to create a Microsoft free account, and you will be eligible for creating a $200 or amount. It's like you will be able to spin or you will be able to work on any Microsoft Azure products, and this amount will be debited from this free account money. That's a $200 which is being credited to your account. So you can follow this link. And a couple of points for you. This is the two important points you can remember from your side. It's like in case if you are first time if you're trying to use it, these are the few points for you. I just pasted on the chat window. These are the few points for you. There's a few points. Okay. Now right away let's see how to remove this public IP address. In case if you want to remove a public IP address, right away we got a public IP address is being assigned automatically. So you can able to see the public IP address automatically has been assigned. Now if you select the option code, the moment when you select an option called VM, and if you're trying for creating any kind of actions here, if you're selecting a VM, generally you'll be getting in a couple of admin options here, like a start or a stop or a delete on the top. Basically, if you're enabling or if you're connecting to any of this option, by default, whatever public IP address is been assigned, that will be changed, because by default there is a dynamic IP address only generally it's been getting. So basically that's the point you need to remember here. Now payment information is good. Yes, we need to provide that. It's not by default. No reason Microsoft is not doing any kind of a automatic upgrade, but we need to ensure that this has been providing any kind of this kind of option. Like basically for a security information, we need to provide a credit card or a debit card detail. That doesn't mean that after 30 days Microsoft has been upgrading account now. That's only for the security validation purpose. So it's mandatory that you need to provide this information. Now, Coming back to this VM side, right now the VM has been created, and in case if you want to do any kind of a network or a public IP address removal, you can go to the particular VM, because there are some scenario after this class you understood, like if you want to provide a security to your VM, we need to ensure that the public IP address needs to be controlled. So the only option has been like at the time of a creation, there is one option has been available, but right away we have been created a VM, and we need to ensure that the VM public IP address is been removed. So you need to just go to the properties, and there you can able to see from. Let me repeat the procedure. In case if you want to remove a public IP address for a VM, you can go to the virtual machines, and in the virtual machines you can select the networking tab. In the networking tab, you have an option for removing this one. So like you have an option called removing this VM. Right away, you can able to see there is an option you're getting network card. There you can able to see an option called IP configuration. You can able to see the option called IP configuration. So the moment when you select an option called Um, the moment when you can, so if you select an option called IP config, so you can able to see there is an option you're getting for associate or a disassociate. So the moment when you select an option called disassociate, and in the top you will be getting an option called save. So with the help of that, you will be able to remove the public IP address from the portal. Now, that's the option generally we are using, like in case if you want to remove a public IP address for from your VM where you have a security is a concern, and you need to ensure that we are using a dedicated firewall, or you are using a dedicated mode of operations. So there's a point you need to remember it here, like how it's been generally it's been configured, and how the public IP address has been removed from the server. Now, any question related to the public IP address? Okay. Can you show how we could able to take a image backup? Or, Nestor, I have a separate session for that, so I'll be able to cover that. That's the backup or how the disaster recovery is being provided. So we have a separate session. It's been coming. Possibly in the next day, we'll be covering about this topic, how to do that. Yes, we can do Sandesh natting. So we have the next topic is about a concept called Azure Firewall. So during the Azure Firewall, we'll be discussing about how the natting is been covering this one. So we'll be covering about that. So basically, I'm giving a scenario like the same situation we can take Sandesh, like you've been removed a public IP address from your VM, and the same time you are hosting a website in your organization. Now, if a user want to connect it from externally to internally, how can I provide that? So that's the options we have. This has been kind of in our alpha. So alpha, if you can just refer to the Microsoft portal right away, so you go to Assure public IP address, assure public IP address, price. We can just see here. So sorry, this is just go back here. This in hourly basis. This has been charged. So like what if you can see here. So there is a two mode. I hope you can see the screen. Alfred, if you can, Alfred Fernandez, if you can just see here, this is the link you can refer. It's like how Microsoft is being charging. So based on the type of the IP address you are using, is it IP version 4 or IP version 6, and the hours or the consumption of this one. Um, Samantha, it's been like a disassociate is something like already you are assigned a public IP address to a VM. Um, I'm before coming to Samantha's question, Alfred, you're okay with this question? It's been clear, right? Alfred, so if we can comment it on the chat. Yes, thank you. Now, coming to Sandesh question. Now, you are in a situation, you have created a VM. Now Sandesh is asking like, what is the difference between delete or it's been, um, uh, what is the difference between delete and disassociate? So Sandesh, if I'm just giving a scenario here, you have a VM, you have created a VM1 and you have a public IP address has been created. Now, the moment if you're trying to delete it here, you're trying to here because public IP address is a resource. What you are trying to do, you're trying to delete it from your side. Now, the moment when you're trying to delete it from the public IP address, this by default it won't allow you. The reason it's been like, what is the reason behind that? The reason behind that, even though this public IP address is one resource and VM is another resource, both are working hand to hand. But the problem right away here, it's like if you're trying to delete it here, you'll be getting a message saying that, sorry Sandesh, I'm already been associated with a VM1. So right away on fly, I will not allow you to delete it because already this IP address has been used by the VM. So it won't allow you to delete it. Now, second question, if this public IP address is not associated with any VM, then you can delete it. Because so that's the reason what we are trying to do. We are informing Microsoft, I'm disassociating this public IP address, means that I'm releasing this from this VM, saying that I don't need this one. So this has been going back to the pool. So from the pool, you can able to delete it. Now, if you go back to this portal, and if you go inside the public IP address, right away we have been disassociated, right? That means this IP address has been released to Microsoft saying that I don't need that. So there will not be any charge for that. Now, if you go back to the public IP address here, now if you can able to see, we have been created a IAS here, for example, like a server one. Now, if you try to delete this one, this will be deleted. The reason it's like this public IP address I haven't assigned to any VM. Till now, I have been created a public IP address, but this has been not used by anyone. So Sandesh, you can able to delete it. Now, in case if this VM has been associated with any VM, you will not be able to do. For example, like right now, you can able to see on the notification area, you got a message saying that the public IP address which have been created, it's been deleted because that IP address was not assigned to a VM. That was a standard or I have been created while doing my lab. So I've been created a temporary VM, but I was not used for any of the resource. I have been assigned this IP address to any firewall or I'm not used this for any of my VM. So it's been deleted automatically. But in case if it is associated with a VM, you'll be getting a message saying that first you go and disassociate, then only you'll be allowed to delete it. Clear, Sandesh? Samantha is asked, not Sandesh. Samantha is asking this one. Tan is asking like, is it only 30 days free? Yes, Tan is only 30 days of free trial only you're getting. You are getting only $200 worth with for a 30 days. After 30 days, you need to go for a upgradation of your account. Any other questions? I can move, right? Okay, thank you. Now, the point right away we've been discussing about public IP address removal. And the topic right away we are been discussing about how to provide a security one, security to a VM which has been hosted on the Microsoft portal. Now, we have a situation here. Right now, part of this discussion, we have removed a public IP address here. Now, let me take you into whiteboard. Right now, if you're taking a VM here, or it's like if you're taking the situation here, We have a VM. So we understood by default each VM was getting a private IP address and public IP address. Right now, what we have done, we have removed the public IP address which was associated to this VM. Due to security purpose, we have removed. Now, the similar scenario is for the entire VM which is been using in the organization. So we have assigned only to the public IP address. We have assigned only to the VM. Only assign the private IP address to VM. Now we have kind of a situation like I'm sitting in Indonesia. Now my VM is being configured in Switzerland. Now as a user, if I need to take a remote desktop of this VM, in a previously how this was doing, I was using a RDP protocol, and what was the IP address I was using? I was using a IP address of a public IP address. What is the situation of a public IP address right away here? Can you comment it on the chat window? Is there any public IP address has been assigned to this VM? Can you comment it on the chat? I'm just giving a scenario. You are in a customer place. Right now, we have been removed a public IP address from this VM, and we want to connect to VM1, which has been configured or with the server is been hosted in Switzerland. So, is there any possibility for connecting to this? Can you comment it on the chat window? No location base, okay. So saying that good, okay. Without removing the public IP address, we like okay, we can access. Pradeep, how can we access that? Can you comment it on that? Right now, I'm saying a situation. We have a VM. Um, it's been public IP address has been removed. I think few people look like it's been got confused. Let me give you a scenario here. In a normal situation, if you want to connect to this VM, right now you're sitting in Indonesia or India or X or Y country, but your VM is being hosted in Switzerland. I'm just giving a scenario. How can I access this computer? Because one option is like you can ask your boss, hey boss, I want to go to Switzerland, give me a on-site option, right? Because right now I'm sitting in India, I need to travel to Switzerland for accessing this one. Now, in a previous situation, how this was handled, we were using a protocol or an option code RDP. RDP was the protocol we're using. With the help of that, we were connecting to this VM, right? Now, Pradeep, can you comment it? What was the IP address in case if I need to use a RDP in a normally in your office, if you want to take a remote desktop, you may be using a two option, right? One it's been like you will be typing a mstsc. This is the command generally we'll be using, right? So the moment if you want to take a RDP, generally like you will be getting a screen like this, right? You may be getting a screen like this, right? You may be getting a screen like this, and with the help of that you will be able to manage, right? So you'll be able to you'll be getting a remote desktop like this where you are typing an IP address or a FQDN kind of thing. So or you can able to type a IP address or FQDN, and with the help of that you'll be able to connect it. So there's one option. Now right now already we understood the IP address which you can use in internet. Yes, you can download RDP. I'm agreeing on that point. Now the problem here, Pradeep, or it's been the team here, if I need to access this remote desktop of this VM, how this traffic is been going? Because the moment when you type a remote desktop on your laptop, backend, this will be using a protocol called RDP protocol. and this will be connecting to your access point in your organization. It's been connecting to access point in your organization. Then this will be connecting to your router, and then it's be connecting to internet, and this will be connecting to the VM. So this is the mode, or this is the workflow it's been taking here, right? I hope all are agreeing with this point. Any different opinion you have? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat window? This workflow, if it is clear, can you just comment it on the chat window? Okay. Okay, so few people it's been commented. Okay, good. It's been clear. Okay, good. Now, the problem right away we have here. Now, we understood this traffic is been traveling through the internet. Now, in internet, we will not be in a position to use all the IP address. All of us already understood, in case if you want to communicate each other inside a network, we need to have a IP address is available. So this IP address is been classified as a public IP address, and it's been classified as a private IP address also. Now the problem right away here, it's like all the IP address will not be able to use this one. Right now we understood, like when the moment when you create a VM, by default this got a private IP address from your VNet. You already have a VNet is been created. VNet is nothing. This is an IP pool which you are assigning to a network, right? Each region you will have a internal IP address pool you are assigning. From the this will be getting IP address like a 10.0.0.4. This IP address right away this will be received. Now, now if you're seeing here in internet, you will not be able to use all the IP address because you maybe already heard about a concept of public IP address or a private IP address. Now, the point right now I'm trying to say here, by default in a past scenarios, if anyone want to take a RDP connection, we were using a public IP address which was assigned to a VM. Now, the point right away we have here is the public IP address is with removed here. Now, if you are trying to connect it with the help of 10.0.0.4, what will happen? The traffic if it is coming here, and if you're 10.0.0.4, this IP address is been, it's been non-routable IP address in the internet. You cannot use in internet. So because the reason it's been like you are not able to use it in the internet. So because there is a problem we have here. So because this IP address, public IP address is not able to route it. Now at the same time, you have a requirement is that you need to ensure that you are able to access the remote desktop also. So what is the option available in front of you? It's been clear to you, because right away we are in a situation you have removed a public IP address due to cost or a security reason. Now at the same time you have a requirement like the users want to connect it to you. Okay, now let's see what we can do on this. Now if you're trying with this IP address like a 10.0.0.4, uh, what will happen? Because you'll be getting a message saying that this is a private IP address. This you won't be able to configure it, or uh, you won't be able to route in internet. So you will not be able to use it here. So the problem here it's been like it's this IP address is not routable. Now in case if there is any VPN is being enabled in your organization, you may be heard about a concept called VPN. What do you mean VPN? It's called virtual private network. So you're trying to create a tunnel, or you're trying to create a kind of a connection between your laptop or in your office network. You may be remembering, like during the pandemic time, like a COVID time, all of us were doing a work from home, right? In a work from home scenario, how we have connected to your office network, you may be used a concept called VPN client, right? Remote connect or Cisco connect or RSA token. With the help of that, you've been established a tunnel from your office laptop and office network. So in case similar kind of any VPN, if you have established in your organization, you have option to connect to RDP using a private IP address. Clear? In case if there is no VPN is in place, you will not be able to use this 10.0.0. Or the private IP address. So only option is like either you need to have a VPN is in place, or you need to have a firewall. It's been a firewall or NATing has been enabled in an organization. Only in that scenario you will be able to connect it. Now the situation right now we have here, it's been like we are in a customer place. We have a multiple VM is been configured. You have a VM1, you have a VM2, you have VM3 is been configured. Now the problem here, it's been like all these VMs are configured with the private IP address only. You have option only for the private IP address only. Now if you're trying to connect it using a private IP address, right now it's been not available. So in a normally in an organization or in a large or a complex infrastructure, you will be using a concept called gateway server or a concept called gem server. There is a concept generally we are using in a customer place or in a normal scenario, that basically known as a gem server or a gateway server. How this has been working now, since I don't have any public IP address available here, if I'm a user and if you need to connect it, right now I don't have option. Now if you want to try this one, can you go to the VM and can you go to the remote desktop and type 10.0.0.4? This is the private IP address of my computer. You will be getting a message saying that sorry, from us or Max, we will not be able to connect it. This kind of error message generally will get it. So in a normally in a complex infrastructure, we will be implementing another server. Typically, a Windows server only will be using, and top of that, you will install any whatever application you want. Then only for this VM, you will be assigning a public IP address, and this VM will be getting the private IP address from the VNet. For example, like all these VM are part of a East US data center, the same data center, this server also will be placed. So this VM also will be getting a IP address from the same region. So basically, like wherever you have a region, all that location, you need to create a jump server. This jump server will be created near to the perimeter, or it's outside or internal of your perimeter network. So based on that, your perimeter network or the perimeter device can able to define some kind of a application rule or a NAT rule or a network rule, saying that only the communication is being allowed from that particular PC rather than connecting from internet. Now, if I'm a user, if I need to connect to VM1, for example, like this is like a 10.0.0.4, and if I need to connect it from here directly, if I'm typing this IP address, I'll get an error because the packet has been traveling through internet, and this has been not allowed because 10.0.0.4 is a private IP address. Now, right now in this situation, I'll be using a public IP address of this. I'll take a remote desktop to this computer using a public IP address of this particular VM. Once I've connected here, again I'll take an RDP using a private IP address, because once I've connected inside this one, this VM is already got a private IP address from the same network, and this got a public IP address. So externally, this VM has been establishing a connection with a public IP address. Now internally, if I need to connect it, that I'll be using the private IP address of the hosted gateway server or a gem server, because you can able to see there is a gateway server has been available. So with the help of that, I'll be able to connect it. And typically this is been connecting a remote desktop. Any question from anyone? Are we good or any question from anyone? Okay, so technically, so you'll be connecting to a VM, and uh, from there you'd be able to connect to this portal. It's been typically Samanda, it's a typical virtual VM where you can able to connect it. So you have option for connecting this one. So typically it's been a kind of a ISAS VM only generally we are using. So typically it's in a ISAS VM. Okay, can we use more VM to many VMs to access? Can we use use more many VMs? Can you just rephrase that question? I'm not clear about that. You are trying to ask something like, is it possible to access many VMs, right? Is your question using this server? Is what your question like you have if you want to access a VM2 or a 3 or a 4, is it, yes, you need to type it like once you connected RDP here, again, you need to take RDP of all this VM. For example, like this is a 10.0.0.5. From here, you need to take a RDP to 10.0.0.5. The problem you're going to face, it's been like, as I said, this is a typical ISAS VM. This is a typical computer only. You need to have maximum number of a CAD license, or you need to have some kind of a VDA solution into in place, because in case if you have a more number of or multi-session is required, you need to have a uh, either VM, or you need to have a VDA solution to be placed, because guest operating system you're using right away, it's been like it's a Microsoft Windows Server 2016 or 2019, and that will have some terminal server limitations you have, because by default it's been allowing only 2. So if you have more number of people want to use it, then you need to go for that. Now it's asking like what is a VDS solution. I'm coming to that point. I'll come to that VDS solutions. Now Mark is asking like what is the guest operating system are compatible with the Microsoft Azure VMware. VMware has been separate one mark. Azure VM is the concept if you're asking. This has been supporting all the Microsoft OS and non-Microsoft OS. Now, if you go back to this Microsoft Azure Marketplace, you will be able to see this one. Basically, Mark, answering to a question, basically this has been supporting all the 64-bit operating system on the Microsoft portal. It's been supporting Windows servers, and it's been supporting Linux and Unix flavors as well. Now, if you want to get a complete details, you can go to Microsoft Marketplace. Once you look like I'm just giving a wrong password. Yeah, my one keyboard having one issue. So one key is look like is not striking. So yeah. Now, Mark, if you can go to the option called Marketplace, if you can type the operating system name here. Basically, it's been supporting only the 64-bit operating system. It's 32-bit is been not supported. For example, like if you want the Unix one, enter it here, and this will give you all the Unix flavors here. So many times people are having some kind of a perception. It's been that it's been supporting only the Windows operating system. No, it's been supporting Unix and Linux flavors also. If you type Linux, you can able to see what the Linux operating system. And this is not for the operating system alone. Like if you go take a firewall, it's been able to integrate with a third-party firewall as well, like a 48 Fortinet, or it's like a Sophos, or like a Fortinet, Palo Alto, any kind of other firewall products. If you want to integrate, that also has been possible here. So Linux, if you're typing, you'll be able to see the Linux based operating system. So that's about the connection part. VDS Samantha will possible like we'll take a break now, and after the break I'll explain you what is a VDA solution. Other than that, any other question from anyone? Are we good? And if you're good, can you comment it on the chat window? Okay, thank you. So thank you, team. Let's take a 10 minutes break. And after a break, we'll discuss about a concept of Bastion service. We'll be moving to a topic called network security group and Microsoft Azure firewall. These are the topic we are planning to cover it today. So let's take a let's conclude what will happen if I disassociate public from Azure. Um, in case if you are disassociate or it's been like remove a public IP address from a VM, uh, in case if you don't have any Bastion or Azure firewall or a gateway or a gem servers are available, you will not be able to access it in a simple nutshell. Clear? Okay. Now let's take a break and let's take a 10 minutes break and come back. So thank you team and we are pausing for 10 minutes break. Sachin, I hope it's been clear for you. It's been, yeah. So thank you team. Yeah, thank you. I hope all are back. So if you're back, if you can just comment it on the chat window so we can move to the next portion of the session. Okay, thank you. So few people has been commented. Okay. Okay. Now I need to answer one question that's been posted before a break. I think someone has been asked a questions like, what is a VDA, right? Um, Typically, like if you're considering a scenario, it's been like uh, someone, I think if you're back, okay. Now, if you're seeing in this all infrastructure here, whether if you're using a Azure or in a normal scenario, we were connecting to to the servers with the help of a remote desktop. That was the normal, or it's been mode of operation generally we are doing, right? If I need to take a connection, or it's been like if I need to do any kind of activity on a server, generally we are using a concept of a RDS, or it's like a RDP. I hope it's been clear, right? Like if I need to do a traditional on-premises one, if I need to access this computer, one option is like you can connect your monitor and you can connect it here and you can manage. This is the one option. Now, in your office or on premises or a data center, if you need to do any kind of a management, we were using a RDP connection, like remotely using FQDN or a IP address you are connecting. So same kind of a mode of operations you are doing here also, like in case if you want to connect to the VM which has been connected or it's been configured in a Microsoft Azure, it's been handled with the help of a VDA. Now, VDA is a kind of a solution that's called desktop as a virtualization. It's called a DAS kind of a solution, because I'm just giving a scenario. Samantha, I think at this point to you, answering to your question. Right now, the FIFA World Cup, Soccer World Cup is happening. Or I'm just giving a scenario in your office, you have 100 new joiners who's been joining, freshers is been joining your organization, or students is been joining. After the campus interview, they got a placement and they're joining X company. Now, your company or the organization is a small organization and they don't have enough fund for provisioning an individual laptop or a VM. So what are the solutions we have? One option is been like in the guest room or in a public space, we can configure a laptop or a desktop or a server. Like in a college days, you may be remembering like in your hostel or in your college library, you may be having one or two computers only available, right? Maybe in your college days, if you just go back to your school days or a college days, because we don't have enough computers or a laptop or a workstation was available in that labs, right? Because mainly that kind of, it's olden days, like we'll have only one or two common system only available with an internet. There was a scenario in the past. Now, right now, the organization's mode of operation is got changed. I'm giving a scenario like there is 100 joiners are coming in your organization. Now, your organization is saying like, I'm not providing any kind of a device to you. I'm not giving any laptop you, but instead of that, you can bring your own device. You can bring your own laptop and you can connect to my network. So think a scenario like if that laptop is being connected to a network, and if that laptop is been not properly enabled with the antivirus or all this kind of a protection, there is a security breach will happen. So what generally we are doing from your office or from your home, you can connect to a multi-session window that's called VDA. Instead of provisioning 100 or a VM, I'll be creating a host pool. I'll be creating a term called host pool. What is that? I'll be creating a host pool. So with the help of a host pool, inside a host pool, instead of 100 VM, I'll configure 10 or 20 VMs here. Now anyone who's been connecting, uh, they will be able to connect this same VM. They'll be able to use a same VM. For each user, a separate user profile will be created. This user profile will be saved inside VHD, that's Microsoft disk. It will be created. So whenever you're connecting using a username and password, with the help of uh, with the help of that, with the help of Azure Active Directory, it will do authentication and your profile will be loaded. Based on your profile, uh, applications or whatever permission is been assigned, that will be given to you. This kind of a solution generally we are knowing as BDA. In your office, you may be using this kind of a concept, right? Using a browser based. Yes, it's a kind of a technology that refers to a virtual machine. Same thing. Like so, you are trying to make a desktop and application as a virtualized mode. So you'll have a host pool or a shared pool has been available. With the help of that, you will be able to connect it to your office network. This kind of a solution generally, Samantha, is known as a VDA solution. Now, more details has been available inside an exam, same as the same like a Citrix kind of things. So there will be same similar kind of a feature has been available in other products also. And this all VDA solution has been covered under a program code AZ140. That is a certification course we have that's called AZ140. This has been covered inside that one. Any question from anyone? If there is any general question related to that, we can have a sometimes we, yeah, multi PC. Yes, it's a kind of Azure desktop. It's similar like a desktop as a kind of a service kind of feature. You're right, Sachin. Similar kind of feature you can able to see in Citrix also. Most of the companies still using a Citrix, but right now it's been organizations are moved into a Microsoft VDA solutions as also. WAN bandwidth, it's been needed. So we need to have a bandwidth is a condition. There's a one point you need to remember. Like in case if you're planning to design a Azure or one, there are some scenario we need to consider. Like there's a couple of infrastructure you need. One, it's been like if you don't have any suited internet or WAN situation, you will not be able to use this kind of a scenarios. So you need to have a proper internet connectivity is needed. So WAN or a proper internet bandwidth information is needed. And in case if you're going for any kind of VDA solution, this has been supporting almost all the desktop operating systems like Windows 11 enterprise versions, wherever the multi-session has been enabled, or the Windows 10 enterprise or a 7 enterprise or a 2012 or 2019 or a 16 or a 12 R2. All these supported images are supported on the VDA, and this can be able to access from almost all the clients. Like if you're using a Mac OS or a iOS or Android or a Microsoft Store or it's been a Windows desktop, all these clients can be able to use it. The point you need to remember, in case if you are planning to have any kind of a VDA solution in your organization, you need to have a proper Active Directory. It's been configured. So this Active Directory, either it's on in a Microsoft Azure Active Directory or a Azure ADDS based or a on-premises one. Because the moment when you type the username and password, identity authentication needs to be done, because based on that only your profile will be loaded. Because once the authentication is being completed from the Azure Active Directory, your profile will be loaded with the help of Azure SQL database. So for configuring a Azure VD in your organization, it's mandatory that you need to have a either Azure Active Directory or a on-premises Active Directory with the AD Connect to be enabled. Otherwise, you will not have in a position to configure this one. Now, they're basically known as a hybrid environment. So you need to have AD Connect, or it's if it is a cloud environment, you need to have Azure ADDS or Azure Active Directory to be in place. VDA for a on-premise is okay in terms of bandwidth. Yeah, in case such in case if you're using a on-premises kind of a scenario, basically that is known as a hybrid type of infrastructure. So that kind of a situation, you need to ensure that your on-premises network or in on-premises Active Directory has been integrated with the Azure Active Directory. So there is a one point you need to remember. So there is a concept called Azure AD Connect. AD Connect to be configured in your organization. Otherwise, you will not be in a position to configure the VDA solution. I hope it's been good and we are good with this topic. So if you're good, we can go back to this connectivity part. Okay. Now let's wait for the input from rest of the members also. Any confusion or question from anyone? Hi, Damien. So good morning. I think Damien, you attended my last couple of sessions also, right? I remember your name. Yes. Okay. So thank you. And right now we have been in a place where you have configured um, public IP address and connectivity, and we understood the concept of gem server or a gateway server. So for providing a security into a ISAS VM in a mostly in a common customer places or in a organizations will be using a concept of a gem server. So a couple of points you need to remember here. Typically, if you're configuring a gateway server, this is basically a VM only. So there's a one point you need to remember. So like whenever you're configuring a jump server or a gateway server, generally customer plays this will be configured with Windows 16 or a Windows 19 or a, right now it's been configured with Windows Server 2022. So the point here, it's been like if the customers are thinking, no, this VM management also it's been now coming on top of my organization, on top of my head, and I'm not interested for managing this one. I'm just giving some kind of a scenario. If you are working for some software company or a development company, and if they are not interested to do any kind of a VM management, so we'll have some kind of a, additional responsibility has been coming because if you are using a in number of VMs and this has been pointing to a gateway server. Now managing this gateway server has been headache. So customers are not interested in a normal scenarios. So that kind of a situation, we will be using a PaaS solution. PaaS stands for platform as a service. So we'll be using a solution called Azure Bastion service. There is a concept is called Azure Bastion service because if you're taking this jump server, you may be observed like this is like a typical VM, like you are installing an operating system, and top of that you are installing the whatever additional components you need, you are installing, and you are taking a remote desktop of this. So technically, if you are speaking, management of this physical VM, like you have a VM is been available, right? Management, OS management, or infrastructure management is been coming as additional responsibility to us. So customers are thinking like, no, I don't need want any this kind of a solution. So I need a solution where completely this has been hosted by the Microsoft itself. So that the situation, the Bastion has been coming to picture. So Bastion is basically it's a kind of a PaaS solution. PaaS solution means that you will have a Bastion. Bastion service will be enabled in the VNet level. Every network you need to enable this one. Like these are not it's been a VNet specific. So like if you have a n number of VNet has been available. For example, like I have a VNet has been configured called HR department. This has been configured with a 10.0.0.60. This is the lab we are trying to do it. Okay. So I'll explain you how this has been going to configure. Now, take a scenario. You are in a customer place. You are configured a resource group called HR resource group. And you have configured a network 10.0.0.0.0.60. Now you have a multiple VM is available. Like this is a VM1 and VM2. Okay. This is the lab right now we are trying to do it. The scenario has been clear to you, and you are connected from central India. For example, like you've been connected from Chennai to this VM you need to connect. For example, like this VM is being configured in East US data center. Now let's try to understand how this can be able to access and how this can be able to configure it here also. So let's try to understand this one. This scenario has been clear to you. Any question from anyone? You are in a customer place. You have a resource is been configured. Resource group is been configured. HR, and you have configured a VNet that's called 10.0.0.16. Now let's try to understand a concept called Bastion service. Any questions so far? This about this scenario? We're just trying to simulate the scenario on the lab. Any question? This concept has been clear. At least this whatever lab currently we are going to do, it's been clear to you. You are going to create two VM. One is VM1 and VM2. Where you're going to create, you are going to create East to East data center, and it's been configuring with a VNet 10.0.0.16. Let's go back and let's try to do that. Now, account is being locked out. So let me type the username and password. So I just given my username and password. Now, meanwhile, Sachin has been shared some overview of Microsoft document related to Bastion service that you can bookmark it. So thank you, Sachin, for that. Now, let me delete whatever resource group currently it's been available. So I don't want you guys to get confused. So let me delete this one. So this been easy to, it's been easy for you to understand when we are doing this at demo. Just give me a few seconds. We are just deleting existing resource. Now I've been initiated some resource deletion part. So let's wait. Now deletion has been almost in a progress state. So we need to wait. So for doing this lab. Now it's been deletion, it's been a progress state. So we need to wait a minute. It's taking time. Almost it's been deployment is on the final stage. Let's I think now we got a message. It's in a removing state. So let's wait a minute. Meanwhile, if you have any question to be posted, so if meanwhile, if you are first time, if you are attending this session or following this community, Discord link is been given on the chat window. So follow us on the Discord link. So this will help you to get the latest notification about the training events. So every week we have different training has been organized on a different vertical. So it's been easy for you to uh, get this notifications one. Okay. Now deletion has been completed. Now let's go back to all resources and ensure yes, only network watcher has been left out. Let me delete this as also. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to the scenario here. We are trying to create a first resource group. Now let's delete this also. It is not be deleted. Delete. Okay, now let's create a resource group. HR has been the resource group I'm creating. Is2S I'm creating. Okay, I'm just creating a resource group. Now let's create a VNet. Now right now we am creating a resource group here. You can able to see a resource group has been created and it's been created in the Is2S data center. Now let's go back to same center. Create a VNet also. Creating a VNet here. HR I've been selected. Network name I'm giving like it's been HR network. Either name just creating a IP address is given 10.0.0.16. So this is the IP address given. And if you can see this, what is the subnet I'm using? 16. It's saying that uh, it's allowed to create 65,536 IP address from this pool. So any VM, if I'm associating, they are going to get an IP address from you. Now here I'm just making some changes. This is a general. Okay. And out of that, I'm again done some slicing last 24. So if any VM I'm attaching here, they are going to get an IP address inside that pool. We'll try to see that, and we'll be discussing about a concept of Azure Bastion service as well. Let's wait it. We are creating a virtual network here. Okay. Now, right now, two actions we have been performed. One action it's been like we have created a resource group. Second one, we have created a virtual network. The lab or the concept right now we are discussing about called Azure Bastion service. We are in a customer place. We don't have a public IP address, and we don't have any kind of a gem server or a gateway server has been available. And let's try to understand how your infrastructure can be accessed and what is the security you're going to get it here. Now, deployment of your virtual network is in place, so it will take a minute approximately. Right now, it's been completed. Right now, if you go back to all resources, you may be seeing like there is a network is been created. And if you go back here, the resource group, you can able to see there is a resource group also created. Now, let me try to create a VM here. For example, like let me create a VM on the same location. I'm just going to VM and I selected the same resource group and said like I need to create a VM1. Operating system, I'm just giving like a Windows Server Data Center Generation 1. Unfortunately, oh yes, it's been taking. I thought it's been not taking that, no problem. I'm giving a username and password. Password, the password which I have provided on both the place is not matching. That's the reason I got error message. And if I go back to the networking tab, I selected this is a part of the HR network. So in HR network, if you have multiple subnet is been available, you have an option to select it from here. So let's review and create it. Validation has been completed. Now creation of the VM we have initiated. So let's wait a minute again. Now VM creation has been progress. Now VM has been completed here. If you can just go back to the VM, you may be noticed like Public IP address is been created here because at the time of the creation, I forgot to remove the public IP address. Let me remove the public IP address here. Now we are getting a question here. It's like after removing a public IP address, because as a security for providing your ISAS VM, we are removing this IP address here. So I'm removing this one. Now, can you comment it on the chat? What are the options we have available for accessing this VM? Is there any options we have available in front of us? Can you comment it on the chat window? Is there any audio issue we are facing? Because I can see Mr. I think Ko is saying that there is no audio has been available. So Damien has been confirmed. No, is audio is not available or no audio? Okay, then let me recon reconfigure my headset. Okay, so this it's clear. Okay, because Frederick is yeah, audio has been available. Because Damien, I just got confused. You also commented it's been no. I thought it's like there is no audio. That's Stephen. So look like there's been a problem from maybe your side. If you can rejoin, uh, uh, this issue may be resolved. Sometimes it's like if the teams may be crashed or yeah. RDP to the port. Yes, nail is basically RDP is generally we are doing on the port number 3389. The other reason Neil at the time of a VM creation, you may be selected like allow the rule into 3389. Next topic is coming to that. That's called a concept called NSG. That's called Network Security Group. So I'm coming to that point. Right now, we are in a kind of a situation. We have removed an IP address from here. See here, we have a VM1 is been running and we don't have any option for connecting here, right? Like because public IP address is not here. For example, like if I need to connect to this VM, I need to do some kind of a management. If I take this VM option here and if I'm selecting RDP, now let me try to connect RDP here, saying that, see here, since I don't have any public IP address option here, see, there is no public IP address option. Now, right now, if I'm downloading this RDP file, I may get a RDP file here, but RDP file is been pointing to 10.0.0.4, right? You can able to see it's trying to connect through internet using a 10.0.0.4. Now, the moment if I'm trying to connect it, this will try to connect, initiate a remote connection, but this won't go through internet because the reason it's been like uh, is a private IP address, which is been it's not able to route in the internet. Generally, you will be ending with this kind of error message saying that, sorry, Robin, whatever IP address you have been used, which we cannot use in internet. So this kind of error message generally will be getting clear. So this kind of option. Now, we have seen a solution before a break, like in case if there is a gem server or a gateway server available in a network, we would have used that option. But unfortunately, I don't have any option is been available in front of us. Now, a couple of points you need to note it here. Now, if you're selecting this uh, VM or this solutions or this called a virtual machine, right now you may be able to see this is being located in a particular data center called East US. Right now, if you're going inside a virtual machine properties or in the layout window, you may be able to see right. Right now, you can able to see in the VM property saying that this is being located in the East US data center. Now, I don't have a public IP address here. Now I have only the private IP address available in front of me. Now let's try to see how to connect to this VM. So in case if you have Azure firewall or it's been NATing is been enabled, that is one option you can able to use. Or you can able to use another concept called Bastion service. If you are selecting the connect option, you may be able to see an option called SSH and a Bastion. if this VM is have it's been Linux using a putty or a telnet kind of option, I can do a SSH and I can able to connect it. But currently it's a Windows operating system, and if I need to connect a using other option is been like how available it's called Bastion service. So Bastion is a replacement for your gateway or a gem server, because in the past we were deploying a VM on in the perimeter network, and all the users were connecting to that VM. From there again you were taking a RDP. Now the solution was not easy, because you need to have multiple care licenses needed, and management of that particular VM also, it's been a kind of a hectic job. So users or the customers or few clients are not preferring that. So that's the reason they were request for a solution or a service from the Microsoft itself. They are saying like, hey Microsoft, you manage this gateway server. I don't have any VM or a technical person available for me to manage the operating system. So we have a solution called Bastion service. Now this Bastion can be enabled, generally enabled in a region wise, or it's in a VNet basis. Generally it's been created, because if you have a multiple VNet, if you have configured, that many number of Bastion services been needed. So what I'm trying to say, it's like right now we have created a network here. What is the network name you have configured? You have been configured into a code 10.0.0.0.6. This has been created in the East US data center. Now in the East to US data center itself, you have another VNet if you have created, for example, like a 10.1.0.0./16. So inside this VNet, if you have multiple VM, if you have configured, if you want to access to that, for this VNet also you need to enable a Bastion service. For this VNet also you need to enable a Bastion service. So what I'm trying to say that in case if you're planning to use a Bastion service, this is something like a gateway server kind of thing. But the service or the infrastructure or the hardware is being managed by the Microsoft. So in case if you want to enable a Bastion service, this is enabled in a VNet level. The VNet level, this is being enabled. So what is the advantage you are getting? For example, like I have a multiple VM, it's been configured inside of this network. For example, like a VM1 or a VM2, all the connection to that VM will go through this one. I'll show you that. Right now we have a VM is been enabled here. Let's try to create a Bastion service. So this Bastion service, two ways we can able to create it. Now one option is been like, if you go to this VM1, from here if you can click a option called Bastion, this here you will be getting a two option. One, it's been like configure it automatically. Second one, manually I need to provide the IP address and subnet. There's a two option you will get it. Or second option, this is a service, it's a PaaS service from a Microsoft. You can go to the service and search bar, and here you can able to select it. Bastion manually, you can able to give the username or the name or which location you want to configure. All the details you can able to clear it, and you need to ensure that this is being mapped to a particular network. So you can here, it's mandatory that whenever we are creating any Bastion service, always we need to ensure that it needs to be mapped with an account. That is an important point you need to remember. Now, anyway, I'm going to virtual machine here. It's been easy for me to create it from here. So I'm just selecting here and selecting an option called Bastion here. So I'm selecting Bastion service and I'm saying like deploy Bastion. So automatically this will create a Bastion service. Now you can able to see this Bastion, whenever this creating a Bastion service, there is an additional subnet is being created, and this has been mapped to the particular network. You can able to see this is a subnet is been created, and it's been created and associated with a HR network. So we need to wait some time, then I'll be able to show you how this has been created in the backend. In the summary, you may be able to see here this Bastion service. The moment if I'm create, this is going to create inside HR resource group where my VM was created. In that HR resource group, there was a VNet was available, that's called HR network, and there is a public IP address also. It's been assigned for this one. So technically speaking, if you are in a customer place or in an organization where you have n number of VMs are there, and the VM is been not assigned with any private IP address, you can use Microsoft Bastion service. Yes, Sandesh, you can able to see like all the clients, internal clients will be connecting through a Bastion service. How Bastion will be interacting, or how we can connect your Bastion, because there you can able to see there is a public IP address will be assigned to this one. That the reason you can able to see there is a public IP address is been created for this Bastion service, and this has been created with the HR network IP. So there will be a public IP address and there is a private IP address also. It's been assigned to your Bastion service. Yes, Bastion is Alfred. It's been a paid service because previously when we are using a gem server or a gateway server, uh, um, there is a VM cost within we are paying, right? Because when you are seeing it's a gateway server or it's been this one, we were using a VM. So there was some cost is been involved. So Bastion service is secured one. Basically, this has been using a RDP protocol. It's been a secured protocol only. It's using a HTTP only. It's been generally it's been working. So it's been encrypted and it's been using through a SSH, or it's been using with a RDP protocol only. So it's been a secured channel only. It's been using. So if you can able to see here, this is the typical mode of operations, or this is the way generally this is a Bastion service is being configured on your organization. I think I have one nice presentation I have. Let me see it on the, I think I have one presentation for Bastion. Just give me a second. Now this Azure Bastion creation in it's in progress. Meanwhile, let me see, is there any Bastion presentation have just. I think I had some nice diagram for that. So let me get it. So this Bastion service. We may have to depend. Technically, your organization is going to be connect like this. If you can see here. So this is the way the organization is going to connect it here. Yes, Nest has been using a public SSH only. So you can able to see if anyone wants to connect here, or you can able to see this like Azure portal will be connected to this one. So the difference you're going to see here, it's like in a previous mode, like when you're using a gem server or a gateway server or a typical traditional remote desktop, we are using a RDP kind of a services here, right? But when you are using a Bastion service, instead of RDP protocol like a 3389, we will be using a 443 that's called HTTPS. We'll be using this one. So browser-based access going to do in the Microsoft Bastion service. So the type of the option has been generally we are using. It's called it'll be basically using through the browser-based option generally we are using. Now detailed Bastion service details. I'm just sharing a link. So this been completely it's given about the how Bastion or what are the features it's been supported. You can able to refer this. Now it's been a secured mode of connection only. It's been like only authorized members only can be able to use this one. Basically, this is using SSH, or it's been a secure RDP only. It's been using for connections. Now let's go back to the VM. We have enabled the VM here. So let's uh, see what is the current status of the point here. So basically, when you are using this one, no RDP or SSH port is been exposed directly to the public. So connecting to this nested questions like in case if you configured any Bastion service, your RDP port or it's like your SSH ports are not directly exposed to the internet, because you have been exposed or you've been connected only the public IP address of Azure Bastion service. So it's been completely managed by the Microsoft because the hardware or the resource management is been completely done by the Microsoft. And the advantage which you are going to get, it's been like in case if you're enabled a Bastion service here, the internal VMs, or it's been like the VM which you've been hosted inside the Azure VM, you don't need to assign any kind of uh, uh, public IP address, or it's been any kind of connection to the external network, because all the connection is going through the Bastion service. So typically the VMs are directly not directly accessed through the network. It's been accessed through the SSL and through the HTTPS. It's been connecting this one. Now, once it's been created, I'll show you a couple of important points here. Like by default, when you're using Azure Bastion service, there is a dedicated Bastion subnet is been created. So one point you need to remember when we are creating Azure Bastion service, there is a Bastion subnet needs to be always configured with this name. So this is the name you need to give for the Bastion service. I'll show you that. Right now this Bastion service creation is in progress, so we need to wait that. Then I'll show you that it's where it's been Bastion service has been created. So let's wait. So the point you need to remember whenever you're going to use a Bastion service, there are even though if you have 140 plus countries, or it's 56 plus 56 plus regions, we have few regions still the service is been not hosted, so that you need to just check it. So because many times if you're trying to connect using Bastion on some X or Y region, in GIFs you're not seeing, you need to understand that particular region is been not supporting the Bastion service. Generally Bastion subnet is the subnet generally we are using on the network side, and always it's been using a IP range, it's been like a /27 also. These are 2 points you need to remember. Now we need to wait because the Bastion creation is in a progress. So we need to wait 1 or 2 minutes, because generally it will take 5 minutes of time. Now already we've been 3 minutes with past, so we may have to wait 1 or 2 minutes. So in which I think one person is asking like Alfred is asked about the uh, cost part of Azure Bastion. So Azure Bastion service cost have been pasted on the chat. Nestor, connecting to your questions, like not Nestor, it's like Alfred is asking this question. Yeah, there is a price is involved. I've been pasted the link on the chat. This is the price generally we are doing. So this basically depends upon which zone you are using, and charge is been based on the output data transfer on the zone. So based on the how much data it's been transferred internally or outside, based on that the calculation is been done. So the pricing detail have been pasted. So if you're getting a time, you can just go through the zone one. So different countries is been categories under in the different region. So you can able to refer that document. Now let's wait this one. So it will take a minute. Right now you can able to see Azure Bastion service creation has been completed. Now, if you go back to the networking tab, before moving to the Bastion service, let's wait it here. Let's go back to the virtual network. Now you can able to see the same HR network. I hope you can see my screen. Yes. Azure is not slow, Sandesh, because this is not because of its slowness. This is because multiple services been created part of the Azure Bastion one. is not slow, because along with the Azure Bastion, there's a public IP address creation, adding to the network, creating a subnet, uh, attaching with a resource. There's a couple of backend activities has been happening. That the reason it's taking a time is not because of that Azure is slow. No, there is a set of workflow needs to be completed for creating the Bastion, because whenever you're going for creating a Bastion or a firewall, if you take any cloud service provider, generally there will have some time it will take, because the reason is like you given this region and a detail, but backend this has been attaching with a lot of other dependent resource. That's the reason it's taking a time. It's not that Azure or a AWS or a GCP is slow. No, the reason is like this is attaching a lot of attachment that's happening in the backend. That's the reason it's taking a time. Now I'm just taking a scenario like Bastion itself. Bastion, you can able to see Bastion has been services been installed. Now if you click on this virtual network, you may be able to see there is a subnet is been created here. See here. Now if you go here, you can able to see there is a subnet is been created. So whenever you're creating manually any subnet or it's been like a Bastion service, make sure that you are giving a name like a Azure Bastion subnet. Always we need to ensure that the same format we need to give it. Otherwise, the Microsoft algorithm won't take it. So ensure that in case if you're configuring any um, Microsoft Azure Bastion services, ensure that you are giving Azure Bastion service with this name, and you can use a IP subnet range /26 or a 27 or a 28. So these are the three ranges generally we are using. In case if you are using this one, there is a dedicated or a separate subnet needs to be created. So we only with the help of that, it's basically connecting here. See here. So if this is a Bastion service, all this VM, all this VM will be in a one subnet. Now all this VM will be in a subnet, and you have another VM it's been created on in a separate subnet also. You can able to see here like you have another subnet is been created here, so you can able to see there is another sub Bastion service is created. So this both will be hosted in a separate subnet. It's because you can able to see here it's been like your VM or the resource will be in one subnet, and Azure Bastion will be in another subnet. So that's one important point you need to remember. And another important point you need to remember, this Bastion service has been always attached with a virtual network. Right now, is you can able to. Now, in case in the organization, if you have multiple VNet has been configured, for example, like you have HR, finance, production, or development, multiple VNet, if it has been available in your organization, we need to ensure that each network it's been configured with a different Bastion service. Because using one Bastion service, you will not be able to connect to all the VNet which has been configured or it's been created inside your subscription. So you need to have a separate VNet to be available in the network. So that is the one point you need to remember. Now, if you go back to the same network, you maybe notice here in East US data center, we have a HR network has been created, and that same network it's like in the same network we have a dedicated subnet has been created. Now, what is the advantage here? Now, if you have any VM, if you're created or if you're created inside or if it is mapped under the HR network. Right now you have HR network has been created here, right? Now any VM who has been part of this network will be able to connect through this Bastion service. You're getting my point? I'm just trying to say we are in a situation. We don't need any public IP address. We don't need a separate public IP address. I'm saying, let me take you into the whiteboard. Now we are in a customer place. We have a two data center available. Okay. Now you have a one data center. It's configured East to US data center. Here you have configured a VNet. Okay. 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 This is the VNet has been configured, and you have a number of VM has been configured here. VM3. Now this all VMs has been attached to a virtual network, right? I have another data center has been available like a West US. Now I have created another resource group and another VNet called Finance VNet. Now I have a couple of VMs been configured here. For example, like server 1, server 2, server 3. If I'm a user, if I need to connect to this VM, for example, like a server 1, right now I don't have any public IP address. This is a situation I'm giving. So if the Bastion is been enabled in this VNet, for example, like this is a VNet, this is a Bastion service. Now, if you maybe notice here, the Bastion, people may be thinking, where is this Bastion? So let me show you. If you go to the Bastion here, so previously we were using a gem server or a physical server, right? Now, instead of that, we are using a service here. See, this is the service. Through this service, you are connecting to the VM. So this is the security it's been provided. Now, this service is been enabled or connected in the VNet level. So each VNet we are connecting this one. So with the help of that, you are connecting. Now, this is the VNet we have been connecting. Now, let's go back to this whiteboard. Now we have a two scenarios. You can able to see you have a financier, you have a um, East US data center also here. Now, if I need to connect to this VM here, technically I'm just saying like I don't have a public IP address here. Here also I don't have a public IP address. Here also I don't have a public IP address. Here also I don't have a public IP address. Here also I don't have a public IP address. So how will you connect to that? So you need to enable a Bastion service in each VNet. Through this I will connect it. So the moment if you want to connect to any VM or any VMs which has been part of this VNet, you don't need to create one second. Now you don't need to create a separate Bastion service individual resource level, because the entire VNet you need only one Bastion service is needed. So you need to have you don't need to have a separate Bastion to be configured for this VM or this VM or this VM. Generally one Bastion per one VNet. That is the concept generally we are using. Now let's go back to this portal. I know you may be having a couple of questions here. After connecting, we can come back to the FAQ. So let's connect this one and let's see how this is been connecting. Okay. Now, the moment when you connect it here, so whenever you're connecting to VM1, if there is a bastion is been available, you will get a window saying that tell me the username and password I need to use for connection. Previously, the moment when you type a remote desktop username and password, we were getting a window, right? Provide the username and password. So that has been authenticated against the operating system, and we were able to enter into the operating system, right? Similar way, I'm typing a username and password here. I'm just saying like trg admin is the username I've been created. Now I the password it's been I been given a password authentication. Is there any Is there any public IP address is been available for this VM? See here, this is the VM we are connecting. Okay, is there any public IP address currently available? Can you just check it? Is there any public IP address? Can you comment it on the chat window? Is there any public IP address? Can you comment it on the chat window? You can just comment it yes or no. So like, are you able to see any public IP address here? No. Now, what is the issue we have right now here? If there is no public IP address, technically we are not able to take any RDP here, right? But with the help of a Bastion service, now there is no public IP address right now. It's been assigned to this. There is no option to. Yeah, there is no public IP address currently assigned to this VM. Now, if you go back to this Bastion service, now if you go to Bastion service here, you may be able to see this Bastion service is assigned with a public IP address. See, that is the interesting part. Now, if you go to Bastion service, in the Bastion service is been assigned with a IP address here. Bastion service is been assigned with a public IP address here, and this got a private IP address also here. So if you click here, what is the private IP address is using? This has been using a public IP address 20.115.15.193. So all the VMs inside that VNet is going to use the public IP address, and internally this is going to route it. Very interesting, right? Now, if you go to the virtual machine here, this virtual machine is not assigned with a public IP address, but with the help of a Azure Bastion public IP address, I'm trying to connect it internally. See, you can just see here. Now, there is another difference you can see here. Previously, we were connecting using a RDP protocol, right? There's a protocol generally we are using. It's called RDP. Now, right now, you may be able to see in the right side top, there is a message saying that came like a pop-up block. Hey, Robin, I'm trying to connect to this VM1 through a browser based. Okay. So I'm trying to saying that I'm browser based, right? The moment when you click connect, there's a additional window is opening. Now you can see the difference, right? See here. Previously, all the communication or the connection we were doing with the help of a remote desktop. Now, how this has been doing? Now, this has been doing with the help of a HTTPS, this one. Right now, you can able to see. I'm just trying to reconnect it. See, look like the password which I have been used is got failed. Look like I've given a wrong password. No problem. Let's retry this password. I've given password. Yeah. I think the password I given a wrong password. So right now, if you're selected this, okay, I may have to reset my password. Let's go back. Look like a whatever password at the time of creation I forgot. So I tried given some commonly used password, it's not taking. So let's reset the password and try to connect it. It will take a couple of minutes for resetting that. Oh, it's been completed. Yeah, now let's go back to the VM. Let's try to give the same username and password. Wait, this again, it's been getting. Yes, right now you can able to see we have been connected to the Azure Bastion one. So right now, have we used any public IP address on the ISAS VM? Can you comment it on the chat? No, right? We haven't used any ISAS VM, but uh, a organization, if you want to provide any kind of a security on in the ISAS level, because we don't want to expose your IP address or a public or any details to internet, you can able to use the Bastion service. So technically the VM which you are going to configure inside a VNet, that will be interact only with the Azure Bastion. Only the Azure Bastion will be exposed to the internet. So this is the way generally the VM is been configured. Now, right now, if you're seeing here, there's only one VM you have been created inside East US, right? Now, for example, like if you have another VM is been available in the same region, I'm just taking another scenario here. Now, for example, like the same location, VM2 is been created, same location, okay? The Windows Server, so few people may be having a thought like, is do I need to configure any kind of additional VMs over here or like any kind of an additional configuration to be selected here. So let's availability zone. I'm just saying like, no, I don't need any zones. Is to US. One second, let me see. It's VM1, which location we've been created. One second. Let me see. It's okay. Is created in the East US itself. Okay, zone one we have been created. Data center has been created. Okay, no problem. Let's go back. Okay, now Alfred, I'm coming to that question. Okay, just let me just finish this and I'll come back to that question. Okay, that's an interesting question and happy to take that one. Let me finish this and come. Okay, now server one or VM2. Now public IP address. I'm saying no. I don't need a public IP address here. I said no. I don't need no. Configure the SMHR network. Review and create. Okay, let's see. Running a final validation. So the same regions we are creating those. I'm just created. Yes. So that's related to IAS and let's see. So let's wait a minute. So deployment has been progress. Now deployment has been almost completed. Now, if you go back to this virtual machine tab again, you can able to see both the VM is being located on the same data center is 2S. And if you are connecting to VM2, VM2 also you can able to see it's been configured without a public IP address, but it's been connected to the same HR network. If you go to the virtual machine VM1, you can able to see the same location, same HR network, virtual network has been connected. Now, if I need to connect to this virtual machine on an ISAS side, the same option you can able to use it. So you can able to use this one, and you can able to connect it. The same method you can use, just give it your admin password. You can provide this one. You can able to connect it. Now, the moment if you connect in another window, this will be open. The point you need to remember, this has been connecting basically a VNet basis. Okay, you would need to this is the basically it's been connected in the virtual network mode. It's been working. So each virtual network you will have a different option has been available. So each virtual network is this is basically it's been created. So now if you have another um, region, if in right now you can able to see VM2 and VM1, both are created in the same region, and it's be able to create in the same location. Now if you have another situation, for example, like you have another VM which is being created in another region instead of East US, for example, like you be created another region, for example, like the same resource group, for example, like I've been created server one instead of East US, for example, like you've been created in like UK South. I'm just creating this one. East US South is not supported this page. Okay, DRG admin. This is in different data center we are creating. Now, network we cannot use the same because we need to create a new one because this is in a different location we are creating. So I'm just creating review one and there is separate one. It's been creating one. Yeah, Muhammad, it's been like when you're trying to create a account or it's using a free trial, yes, there will be cost is involved. That cost will be deducted from the account because if you have a free account, if you're seeing there is a $200 has been available on your account, from there this amount will be deducted. Now there's a validation error. We got it. Seems like sir some option I missed. What is the option I missed? Where's the mission? So it's been created inside a free account. That the reason Mohammed is asking. Because when you want to create any, okay, there is a capacity restrictions we have in that region. So you may have to change because my account is not allowed to create that. So let's create that. So connecting to Mohammed answer for creating any resource in the Microsoft portal, there is an OPEX model it's been working and you need to have a subscription available with the valid cost to be available. It's been right now, it's been taking from your free account. US, UK data center, we have some SKU issues going on. So let's go for another country. Let me change the South Asia into some other country. It's not supporting the Central India. Let me go for a Central India and let's try to create it. Mohammed, I hope uh, you're cleared with the answer, right? What happens again? We are getting error message. So this is size is not supported. So we may have to go for another site where this is not supported one. This is because we are using a free account. That's the reason we have some restrictions is available. Microsoft is not allowing to use all the configurations or settings. So again, this problem. Wow, what's happening? Oh, this validation mistake again. Let's HR zone and finally the validation has been completed. So we are trying to create a VM inside the Japanese and create it. Now the deployment is in progress. We are trying to understand a concept called Azure Bastion service. Now deployment is on the last final stage. 1 second. It's been right now you can able to see we have created a third VM. The only difference you can able to see it's been configured with the server one, and what is the location we are given? It's called Japan East. Now, if you're trying to create using the same Bastion service, already we have one Bastion is available, right? Can we connect using the Bastion service? Now, the moment when you try to connect the Bastion service here, you may be getting a message. Hey, Robin, I understood already you have a Bastion has been using other VNet, but you will not be able to use the Bastion service here. See here, it's saying like, hey, Robin, if you want to use it, Bastion service, right now this is not available in this country and this is not available for the VNet. I hope it's been clear to you. So end of the session, you need to understand, like in case if you want to use a Bastion service, this needs to be created in a VNet level. With that point, I'm pausing for taking a question. All the question I'll take after 5 minutes break. I can see this alpha task one question. Other than that, if you have any question related to Bastion, we can have a discussion. Let's take a 5 minutes break and come back. After the discussion, we'll complete the Bastion questions and we'll be moving to the network security group and Microsoft Azure Firewall. Let's take a 5 quick minutes break. I hope you are back. So if you're back, can you comment it on the chat window? So Himalayas has raised a concern here. It's been like difficult to follow in this office hours. Okay. So we are taking this feedback and we'll try to see like if there any possibility to uh, how similar kind of events is in the evening hours also. We are taking this feedback and if possible, we'll try to do that. Thanks for sharing your views and feedback on this. We'll try to see that. So we have a similar program has been coming on in the this month. There is a AZ 900 program has been coming. So who is we not attended AZ 900. This has been coming 27th and 28th. It's basically IST time 3:30 p.m. IST. There is a one session is coming. So few people has been asked about the certification and details. So we have one fundamental course has been coming on 27th and 28th. So if you are interested to attend, you can follow us. So 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. IST on 27th October. I've been pasted on the IST time zone. So based on from the which location you'll be connected, so you can just follow that. You can just convert that. Okay. Now this is next week. This program has been coming. Now let's go back to the topic like Bastion service. Um, if there is any questions or from your side, let me know. So otherwise, we'll be moving to the next topic called network security group. How the security or the how the traffic management or the how the filtering can be done on in the VM side. Before that, I have seen like a question has been posted related to IAS. I have a question: what if I have a configured VM with IAS? Can we use the Bastion service and how to configure NAT on IAS? Alfred, if you are back, can you comment it on in the chat window? So because I'm taking a question now. So if you're available on the call, can you just comment it on the chat window? At least yes, so I can answer your question now. Alfred is like your IAS questions is what I'm trying to ask. Alfred seems he's been away. It's not back from the break. Now once he's back, we can take the question. So Alfred, so it's once you're back. Okay. Now let me share the screen. Yes, he has been back. Okay, good. Now, Alfred, your question is something like this. We are in a customer place and Alfred is configured a VM. Multiple VM is available. Now your question is been like something like this. This has been connected to a VNet. Let's take it's called HR department. Now inside this VM, you have enabled IAS website and only the public IP address has been configured here for that. Right? And there is no public IP address and Bastion has been enabled here. Now, now I am a user and I need to connect to this IAS. For example, like this is like a website name is cloudhub.com. Is there a possibility to access from the outside network? This is your question, right, Alfred? If I'm right, this is the question you're trying to ask, right? Yes. So this kind of a situation like if you connected using a Bastion service, you will be able to take a RDP to this VM, but your situation is something different, right? You have a user and in the user window, he need to type Cloud Hub cloudhub.com, and we need to get this one. So typically all of us know, if I need to use any domain name on internet, I need to purchase a domain, right? I need to purchase a domain. For example, you maybe heard about a companies like a GoDaddy kind of a website, GoDaddy.com. From the GoDaddy website, you can able to uh, purchase domains, right? You maybe seen this one, right? GoDaddy kind of a website are available, hosting companies are available in the market. With the help of them, you can able to purchase the domains. Now, Alfred, you are trying to create a website called cloudhub.com, and this is being enabled inside a IAS, and this it's been hosted inside a VM. Now, name resolution is one of the solution is been coming here, so we need to do a name resolution here, right? The moment when you created a VM or any Azure solution on in a Microsoft portal, now let's go back to the VM. Right now, if you are connected to Microsoft portal, in the day one or in the last session, you may be observed. Right now, this account is got logged out. Let's log in it again because we took a break and it's in between. I have configured some logout time. Let me reconnect it back. Let me rejoin. So, um, Alfred, you maybe notice like the moment when you create a domain, always you may be able to see like there is a domain is been created like with don't on microsoft.com. All of us can just see on the Azure portal right away. On the right side top, you may be able to see like it's maybe very small, it's been written, right? Name, Robin, email ID has been mentioned, and the bottom you may be able to see like there is a domain name is given like email ID. Then you can able to see there is a extension also like a dot on microsoft.com. The meaning is that Microsoft is given a tenant to you, saying that this is a tenant is assigned. In a normal on-premises or a legacy model, we used to create a domain name using a LDAP or Active Directory, right? Like orange.com or apple.com or x.com or y.com. But here, this is a tenant has been assigned. Now, right now, Alfred is in a kind of a situation. He want to use a customized domains like a cloudhub.com or a cloud uh, uh, cloud portal.com or something. So in that kind of a situation, you need to go to the custom Active Directory and Azure Active Directory, and there is an option you will be getting like it's called a custom domain. So Alfred, you need to purchase your domain like a cloudhub.com or whatever domain name you need that you need to add as a custom domain here. This domain name or this IP address needs to be updated. For example, like you have a VM is available, right? So that VM IP address needs to be updated in the Microsoft portal. Plus, you need to ensure that there is a firewall is being configured in your perimeter. So whatever request is been coming, first it will be hitting in the GoDaddy or the particular third-party vendor, and in that vendor site, this will be pointing to this Azure network. So how this has been coming? This will be coming through the Azure firewall. In the Azure firewall, you need to enable a service called NATing. So with the help of a NATing, you will be able to point into inside your VM. So this is the way generally it's been configuring Alfred. I hope it's been clear to you now. Bastion service, with the help of a Bastion service, you will be able to take a remote desktop. But in case if you want to access this one, you in the firewall level, you will have a perimeter level. You will have a firewall is been available. In the firewall, you need to enable a NATing. So this firewall will have a public IP address. So if any request is coming in the GoDaddy website, cloudhub.com will be mapped to this public IP address of firewall. And if any hit is coming, thirdly, you will be doing a NATing public IP address to private IP address. So you'll be pointing. So this is the way generally it's been configured in a typical organization scenarios. Alfred, it's been clear, or you want me to uh, add some more examples? So it's been, if you're clear, can you comment it on the chat window? Any other questions from anyone? If you're good with the Bastion concept, all of us can just put some one comment on the chat, so at least I can ensure we both are on the same page. I think if we found the training material by our emails on this training, that will be helpful to understand better. You can organize. Yes, generally, Shahang, we used to provide the materials, the PPT also, but last day session we could record a session only uploaded. PPT will be uploaded soon. Generally, all our training is generally whatever materials we are using, we used to upload it. 1 second. Okay, it's Christian. Yeah, thank you. Now let's move to another topic. It's been like called NSG. That's called Network Security Group. Now we'll complete the general topic, and the lab will be doing custom needs to be added. Exactly, Sachin. So we need to custom domain verification needs to be done. Without doing a domain verification, you will not be able to do it. So there is a custom verification needs to be done from your Active Directory also. Now, next topic is called Network Security Group. So Network Security Group, or it's known as NSG. For doing a traffic management inside Microsoft Azure, generally we are using two services. One is called NSG. Second is called firewall. So with the help of NSG and with the help of a firewall, you will be able to do a proper filtering or a traffic management inside your organization. Because we have seen like there is 100+ services are hosted inside a Microsoft portal, right? There is 100+ services are hosted inside a Microsoft portal. Now, if any users are connected, we need to ensure that only the right protocol or right application only it's been hosted, or it's been connecting or interacting or into the Microsoft site. Because you have many services have been available, like you have a VM is available, you have firewall, you have a storage, you have a um, auto scaling features, you have a public IP address or a private IP address. Now, as an organization, um, you need to ensure that the traffic which is been entering to a network, for example, like you've been hosted inside a cloud, whatever traffic is been coming from internal, from the external, or within a cloud VNet or infrastructure, needs to be controlled or needs to be handled in a proper way. Because if there is some mistake it's happening, there is a chance of cyber attack. There is a lot of other network or the DDoS or DOS kind of attack kind of issues generally we face. So whenever you're connecting on a Microsoft side, all the traffic management generally done with the help of an NSG or a firewall. Firewall I'll discuss in the second portion of this session. Right now we have been seen when you have created a VM or any resource on a Microsoft portal, this having both the capabilities. Both the capabilities means that it can able to one second. There's some window has been opened. There are two type of a communication generally you can able to see on in a Microsoft Azure. One it's in like you may be able to see the inbound connection, or basically we can say like it's a incoming connection. This can be from external network. That means if you have a user, if someone has been trying to internal from an internet from the internet, if they are connecting to a network, so external communication you can expect. Or if you have a multiple data center, for example, like you have configured east 2 years and you have another data center is in west 2 years, another in central India, you may have to communicate each other, right? So this communication can be inbound or a outbound. Or at the time of a VM creation or a virtual network, you may be seeing like you may be creating a different VNet, and inside a VNet, you may be creating a different subnet. So the communication is can be between external to cloud, or within a VNet, between a different subnet, or it can be between a region to region also. So if you're hosting a service or in a Azure service on a Microsoft portal, we need to ensure that you are following a layered approach, ensuring that minimum access is being only provided, or minimum traffic only is being provided between the resources. Because if you take any uh, cyber process or cyber security policies, you may be heard about a concept called DID, right? Defense in that kind of a scenarios, or it's a kind of a approach generally we are using in a network. Now, when it is coming on an Azure side also, like Azure VM side, generally the traffic management generally we are doing with the help of a concept called NSG. With the help of NSG, the packet or the traffic management generally we are doing. So with the help of NSG, you can make some control over inbound and the outbound traffic. What is the type of the application, or what is the type of the port, or what is the type of the protocol to be allowed into the VM or into the subnet, that you can able to control with the help of a feature called NSG. So NSG stands for Network Security Group. So with the help of a network security group, you will be able to manage this one. So this is a free product. You don't need to pay anything additional amount for this one. Now let's see how this can be able to configure it here. Now, if you're considering Microsoft cloud infrastructure, you have a cloud infrastructure here. By default, if you want to use any resource inside a Microsoft cloud, technically you have a VNet to be created, right? Now, by default, if you're taking any VM, by default, all incoming or inbound, the right term I can say it's called inbound. By default, all the inbound connections into Azure is been blocked by default. Whatever communication it's been coming from external to internal, or between VNet to VNet, by default, all inbound connection to Azure has been denied. It's been blocked. You're getting a question. For example, like you have a VM configured in a Microsoft Azure, and at the moment when you are trying to connect it from a using a public IP address or a private IP address, by default this will be blocked. You may be remembering like at the time of the VM creation, there is a one option I told you to remember it, right? It's like there is an option called inbound rule, right? that the moment when you're trying to create a VM, like you can able to see here, like the moment when you go to a virtual machine creation, and at the time of a creation, we got a couple of options here in the basic tab. If you're scrolling down, so maybe you can able to see there is an option called inbound port rules, right? You may be you maybe notice this option, right? Where you can able to select a couple of options here, right? SSH or a RDP or a, right now having selected the operating system. That's the reason I'm not getting a Windows option. For example, like I've been selected HR, and I've been selected an operating system called Windows. You may be able to see I'm getting RDP also, because by default, all the inbound connection right now, we are trying to create a VM. In case if you're not selected this option, we will not have any option to communicate to this VM, because with the help of this, we are adding a rule inside a Microsoft NSG tool saying that NSG, please allow me a RDP connection with a port number 3389 to this particular VM. So you are adding additional rule, because by default, if you're not added this one, all the inbound connection, whether you take RDP or HTTP or a Bastion service, by default, that communication or that protocol or that application will be blocked. Getting a point? But at the same time, all the outbound connections on the VM is been by default, it's been allowed. I'm just posing here. I know you may be having some questions around it. Any question from anyone? Yes. Samantha is asking like, is VNet is not handling the traffic management between a subnet? Uh, in case if you want to, in case if you want to manage between a subnet, NSGs can be configured in between the subnet also. By default, there is no rule is being configured between the subnet. In case if you want to configure, we can able to configure that. I'll show you in a practical way of that. Outbound, yes, by default, all outbound connections are has been allowed here. So it's been by default, it's been allowed here. By default, there is a by default, it's been allowed on the port. It's been by default, we need to external or we need to other network. By default, it's been allowed. Now, this is the service generally we are using for a filtering of the traffic. Now, let's come back to the slide. So we are discussing about a option called network security uh, option, like how to configure a network security level. So yeah, so this is the scenario. It's like you have a multiple VM is being configured in your organization, and how this security can be ensured or how the security can be provided. So this basically provided with the help of a security rule. So how the security rule is being provided, it's been provided with the help of a NSG. Now let's try to understand how this has been configured. Now I'll just show you this NSG where it's been configured. Tomorrow I will have a detailed lab with a web server, how this can be enabled and what are the options been available in front of us. Now, if you go to the virtual machine, or whenever you maybe created a virtual or any service on a Microsoft portal, for example, like we have created a couple of VMs here. You may be observed at the time of a creation of a VM, in the day when I said, like along with your VM, there is a couple of services been automatically created, right? You may be able to see there is a firewall service, or there is a by default, there is a security group is been created automatically. You can able to see there is a network security group it's been created, and this is doing a controlling of your traffic on in a, your VM. For example, like if you go to VM and if you select any VM, in the networking properties, if you are taking right side, you may be able to see here like an inbound rule or outbound rule. See here, there is an inbound rule or inbound rule. So this the place you can able to see there is a network security group is being created, and you can able to see there is a network security group is being created, and this has been attached to the network interface card. So this network security group is been controlling what is the type of the inbound rule allowed in the VM, and this network security group is been deciding what is the type of the packet it can go from this VM also, and this is being defined in a priority order. Now, end of the session, you need to understand there is a service available in the Microsoft Azure. With the help of that, you can able to configure inbound or a outbound rule in a VNIC level, or you can able to configure network security group in a subnet level also. So there is a two way we can able to configure. One, you can able to configure in the subnet level, or this can be able to configure in a VNIC level. Basically, if you can see here, if you are creating a resource group, you may be able to see there is an option called associate, right? So you can able to associate your traffic, or it's been the filtering the subnet level. So technically speaking, if you are taking in a complex Azure infrastructure, you will have a two type of a filtering mechanism will be using. One is Microsoft Azure firewall. Firewall will be linking to a VNet level, and NSG is the service generally it's been using. It's been in the VNIC or a subnet level. For example, like if you go back to a whiteboard, I'm just giving a scenario like you have a cloud infrastructure available. Now you have a VM. Now you have a network interface card is been configured. Okay, or I'll take in this way. I'll draw it like this way, so it's be easy for you to understand. I have a VM. You have a network interface card is available, right? What do you mean network interface card? This is the place where your IP address, everything has been connected. This is your VNIC. Now this VNIC has been assigned where this has been connected to a VNet, right? Because the place where you are getting IP address is assigned inside a VNet. Where exactly this has been mapped? This has been mapped inside a subnet. Now this VNet has been technically connected to a firewall in the external network, right? You have a firewall. Now, if there is anyone has been connecting inside, for example, like I have a user, if trying to connect it, first all the validation or intelligent way of validation based on your rule or based on the process which been followed in your organization, that validation will do in a Azure firewall level. Once the packet is being received here, before entering to this one, for example, like RDP packet is coming, first to the firewall will check, is this RDP has been allowed to this network or not? This is my network. If it is allowed, it will enter here. Now once it is enter, it will see where this is needs to go. Yes, this needs to go to this particular VNet. Now in the VNet level, firewall already verified. Now it will check in the subnet level, is this RDP protocol is allowed? Yes, if it is allowed. If it is not allowed, it will reject from here itself, and you will not be able to connect it here. If it is allowed, again it will come into the VNIC level. VNIC, again we have a NSG configured. NSG will validate whether this RDP to be allowed inside this one. If it is allowed, you will get RDP. If it is not allowed, from here you will be getting a reject mechanism. So this is the workflow generally it's been following. Now how and which order this generally it will take, because if you are considering Active Directory or a group policy, you may be heard about a OU kind of options here. Now, this is the way NSG is being configured, and with the help of this NSG, you will be able to control, or you will be able to manage um, network traffic. Now, practically how to do this one, we'll have a detailed debate tomorrow. We are a bit or on top of the time today. Now, if you have any general questions, let's have a discussion now. Or if you are good, so we'll be able to wind up today's session, and same time we'll be connecting tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be discussing about network security group, firewall, or a WAF, and additional security components will be discussed. So if you're good, can you comment it on the chat window? And Chaitanya, if you can help me to get the Discord and attendance link, people can.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So team, today it was a nice debate and discussion. So we gone through a couple of the practical way of approach how to do a security on the ISAS VM. So thank you team. Samantha, your question about the subnet way of management, I'll show you tomorrow because there's some time we need to spend on the VNet and the subnet part. We can have that. Yeah, and there is a feedback we got on the Himalaya. I think it's from your side. That's been taken care. So we'll see what are the possibilities we can have, because in the previous surveys, the people has been opted this time schedule. That's the reason this program has been organized in this time schedule. We'll see like the possibility of organizing the similar kind of programs in the off hours. Now Discord link has been pasted on the chat. So yeah, if you only have one VNet RDP, can we bypass the subnet 11x? We can have that. Someone that's like depends upon. It's not mandatory that you need to have a NSG to be in place. That depends upon how you want to ensure your, or how you want to configure your trafficking inside your organization. This all depends upon that. It's not mandatory that if you have only one VNet and you can bypass subnet, but not preferring to have that. So thank you, team, and it was a great day. And tomorrow we'll come back with another topic, or this continuation of this topic. And tomorrow we'll go through the website blocking and other firewall topics. So thank you, team. Have a great day, and the people who's been connected in the evening time zone. So wish you have a nice evening. Talk to you tomorrow. And with that note, we are signing off. Thank you, Surag and Chaitanya, for coordinating this one. Yeah. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow. We are stopping the record and see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Robin, for taking such an amazing session. See you all tomorrow. And thank you, everyone, for joining in this session. We'll see you all also tomorrow. Yeah, and do follow us on Instagram if you haven't. I'm sharing the link. So, yeah. And yeah, thank you, everyone.